Hello, everyone. This is Francine Crawford. Welcome to Autumn is Here. I am your host. And here today, I am with Wan Ling Hung, and she is involved in social services. And we were here to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander Month. And we want to talk about services connected to the Asian community. So please welcome Wan Ling Hung to the show. Welcome. How are you today?
Thank you, Francine. I love the pictures behind you. That's just wonderful. Thanks for inviting me here today.
Well, I am so glad that I got a chance to speak to you. I know you're a wealth of information. And first, before we talk about stuff, let's just give me some background about you. Give me some background.
Yeah, thank you for asking this. My background actually original was studying nursing and then moved to nutrition. And then actually coming to this country, I really changed the whole two majors, probably more related to outreach to the communities and then social service. So those are the two main skills I really learned through 30 something years of the, careers.
Oh, okay. So let's talk, since we're celebrating Asian American Pacific Islanders Month, let's talk about how that community has, have services in their community and things like that, and how they adjust to being here in America.
Thank you. This is a very honor to be here, especially in May. It's really important for anybody who doesn't know AAPI's, Awareness Heritages Month. This is a official month nationwide. Really, not only because government wants to set up this month to celebrate. I think it's another opportunity to everybody who doesn't, aware or know more about the Asian cultures, especially Asian, AAPI, which is the Asian American Pacific Islanders. But today we probably want to focus more about the Asian community, particularly myself as Chinese. So we could talk about this more about, first of all, Francine, when not immigrant, I'm really actually coming here to study. So I always say I'm an immigrant, but study after that, then stay over. Then as an immigrant original from Taiwan. It was a little bit challenging because I can read very well. We study textbooks in English in Taiwan, but I have a trouble to speak. And I remember it's really challenging because speaking like this is very difficult. People won't understand you. But I was very lucky. I was really pushed myself. I went to the health fair. I met one table with a lady who has a table about a WEEK program. And I don't know if somebody know about the WEEK food supplement program for WEEK is a woman, infant, and children. Okay. And I immediately say, hey, can I just work there? Because I saw this name from Taiwan when I read the textbook. That's opened a big door for me. And I have to tell you, Francine, if I didn't ask a lady, my whole career for 30 years might be totally different. So I opened the door. She allowed me to be there. And then eventually I work from, I say no pay, but they give me like $6 or $5 as a secretary, an administrator, and then push myself to nutrition managers because the PA state recognized my education in Taiwan. So I became a nutrition manager, and then that opened another door for outreach coordinator. So this is the three most important part in my life. Because of the social service, when I work for the WEEK program, I really go through a lot of underserved communities. For example, any pockets you think people struggle with the food, struggle with how to take care of their family as a caregivers. And that at that time, most likely they were mothers, but mothers including taking care of grandparents, parents, and then children. So that really opened my eyes to see, this is a very important. The food item could be also challenging because as a nutrition manager, I have to assign them for the food. And most likely Asian, we don't drink cold milk. And then we're talking about 20, 30 years ago. By now, I think the second generation, third generation, they can easily drink milk. But around that time, government give them the cold milk. They don't know what to do. So this is a thing, like as a caregivers, let's say you're social workers, you can just keep dumping most of the stuff to them, not aware of they don't drink milk. They don't, eat cheese. Those kind of things. That's why this month is so important.
So you got to understand
all of us here.
To care for them, you have to understand the culture to care for them.
Yes. For example, then I moved to Asian, Cancer Society, American Cancer Society. And I'm really particularly very honored. In the beginning, I reach out to only Asian communities. Now, one doctor told me, why this patient, Asian, never want to come to this day for surgery because we only have that day for this patient. And I look at the date, I say, gee, that's a Chinese New Year. You don't give them the Chinese New Year for the surgery day. That's why they say, no response. They didn't want to respect the doctors or healthcare providers. They just kept silence, didn't show up. Mm-hmm. So this is a thing we need to understand the cultures in order to provide the service. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I went to Alzheimer's Association. That's another part, like Francie. That's how we met through, because this is a big part of the caregivers. There's a lot of caregivers. I'm talking about particularly for the Asian. Mm-hmm. They don't know where to get the resources. Despite there's a lot of support group. There's a lot of resources, programs, activities, wellness program for your loved one who has a dementia or Alzheimer's. It didn't work because they didn't understand the language. Wow. They didn't know there's a program exists. So when I work for Alzheimer's and the Cancer Society as well, I really pushed the team to create, for example, Chinese support group. That's the most important part. You have a same language backgrounds, people would join. If you create an English one, even they want to share their stories, they don't feel comfortable. So those two parts are very important. I encourage, if anybody listen today, you want to create more social service for the audience or the caregivers for your, communities, mm-hmm. You have to find either volunteers can really relate it to them, or number two, hire the new staff member who can really understand the cultures. Okay, so those are the two things that are very important for the companies.
Do you find that people, do you find like now, I know you've been in the industry for a while, but do you find like now that people are more aware of that and they're actually hiring people of different cultures, like for social workers? Because social workers give them information and help to guide them. So are they actually hiring a position where there are people who have different cultures that social workers can assist in?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's why it's important for a lot of companies create DEI, which is a diversity, those kind of team, which is target on the area, not only just the Asian. They try to more integrate with the Spanish, with the African American, with the faith base. But I have to say, sometimes, I'm not saying all of the companies, you can't just have a strategies and not really implement. So there's a lot of companies will say, hey, we do great, we have this position, but you don't really, when the budgets come, you cut that area because those are not important to produce your mission. And I think that's important for AAPI's month. You have to sustain the program service. You can just develop wonderful from, let's say, 2 years, 3 years. And then when you down to the budget, then you cut that off, and then the continuing programs is stopped. And then, particularly for this kind of area, once you stop, people say, oh, I used to go to the Chinese support group. How come it's no longer there? And then you stop for let's say 2 years, 3 years. Start it all over again, which is wasting your budget, your time, your brochures, because all the brochures has to terminate, is not active anymore. You have to produce another new financial budget to create a new brochures. This is why I'm here, so important. I really want anybody to hear this. You have to either, no budget is okay, make sure you have a volunteer to carry on whatever the program service there. In New York, I have to tell you, we are very lucky. In New York has a lot of social service who can speak a lot of different languages, particularly Spanish, because Asian, we speak a lot of different languages. So it's really hard for them to hire everybody who can speak the language, especially Asian. The Indians has like 160 different dialects. So, but one thing is important, when they saw you including example staff members or volunteers who's like representative of them, you can build a very strong trust. Despite you don't speak the language. I have to tell you, through my career, through the Alzheimer's Association and Cancer Society, people look at me, they will say, oh, ACS lady, oh, Alzheimer's lady. They don't look at you as an Asian. But when I go to the Asian community, they can relate it to me. Plus, if I can speak their language, I can speak Taiwanese, I can speak Mandarin. Those are really additional plus. But we still have people like Fukienese. I don't understand the language, but they can relate it to me. Or Korean, even I don't speak Korean. They can relate it to me because I can really reach out to the leaders who can speak bilingual. And that's a great connection. Let's say if one senior center who's a Korean social workers, she exactly know, okay, this is a Korean person, caregivers, family needs help from certain agency. They can reach out to me despite I don't speak Korean. I can do the great search for this family. I can easily download the Korean materials because there's a lot of agency create a wonderful, materials for the caregivers in the different languages. This is a reach, connections. Not necessarily you have to use your budget to hire 100 people speaking different languages. Now the AI, I have to talk to you, Francie. AI create a very good and bad situation. So sometimes a company will skip the staff member or professional to translate. They use AI. AI doesn't present, the true meaning of the whole sentence. AI can translate, but somebody still has to proofreading, for example. Okay. So that's my worry because I saw a lot of AI translations out there.
Wow. So they're using that now.
Recently,
Wow. That's interesting. They're using that to help translate instead of a person.
It's easier for them because Chinese, we have a simplified and traditional. I can write traditionals, but I can guess. So sometimes companies try to save money. They may have one English. They just use AI to do both languages. I'm not saying all of the agency, but I'm just because here is important for us to talk about it. Yes, you can use the AI, but try to make sure you find the proofreaders, for example, Spanish or, any languages who's the expertise for that, the native speakers.
Wow. So in certain communities, are there different volunteer groups that you can talk about that maybe people can reach out to that will help them?
Yeah. I think volunteer group has become very strong part of the company. In the beginning, I think most of the companies just try to save budget. I mean, we can't go too far. It is the main reason because you have a one staff member. In my experience, when I starting with no volunteers years, that was probably 2 decades before. I could only reach out to 10 communities to do 10 education programs. When you have 10 volunteers, can you imagine? You can really reach out to so many, and then at the same time, you can really hit your mission. So I think overall, volunteers group is very important. If you don't have, you should really start it. Now, volunteer teams are not really so easy just to recruit. You have to put a huge effort into that. I went through Cancer Society. I went to Alzheimer's. Those are the very good two agencies try to start. I think AARP, Red Cross, almost every agency, museum, even, library, they always have a volunteers, team to recruit. If you feel like you would like to contribute your skill, I recommend definitely, volunteer to any agencies related to your part. I left Alzheimer's Association since some of them probably recognized me last year because we talk about Alzheimer's Association. I left there, and that was a gap when I have to restart my own career. I went to do the food pantries. And you know why? At the Tzu Foundation, which is my current company now, I have to tell you, Francie, as a volunteers, you always recruit volunteers, and myself never volunteer even once because we always say I'm busy. Then that was really rewarded for me. I knew exactly how you went to certain area to volunteer because your heart belonged to a certain area. And then because I went to the food pantries, I already knew this agency, which is a Buddhist Tzu Foundation, because we work very closely with talk about volunteer. My role at Alzheimer's, I train all the volunteers. I recruit, I interview them, I train them, I deploy them. So they have a full wonderful educator to do the Alzheimer's education. So that's how I related to this agency. And because of the volunteers, I got to know about the mission from this agency. And then director asked me like, hey, why don't you come back to help us? And that's how I landing now. I wasn't really looking seriously about the job. I was really needed to have a break because like you, Francie, you have, your personal goal and then, companies goal. And I actually work 24 hours, 7 days before I, have a break from Alzheimer's Association. I put all my heart and push away everything. And I don't think that's a good way to take care of yourself. When we talk about the caregivers, through my education programs, I remember every time, doesn't matter, 10 warning signs or dementia. I remember that was my goal. The end of each presentation, I always say, you have to take care of yourself as a caregiver.
Yes.
Because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of any other people.
Right.
And I didn't do that.
And you didn't do it.
I burn out. So this is important for anybody who's here. If you're a caregiver, you have to live in the moment. Don't worry. Just be there with your family members. I just went to one of my best friends, two parents, very old, like 97 and 93. They're both unable to walk, bed rest. And then I saw how my, friends struggle. Lucky enough, they have a lot of siblings. So they took care of, each time. And I only have one mother, so I only share this caring with me and my sister. My sister is the main caregiver. But if you don't take good care of yourself, you can really, pay attention to others. I saw my friend just going there, did a super great job, like clean up, change the sheets, and then left. Bye. And I was like, wait, you didn't spend even 10 minutes sit down to talk to your both parents?
They're exhausted, probably.
Yes. Yeah. It's already tired.
They're already tired.
Yeah. I need to go home to take a shower and rest.
Yeah, it's tough on a caregiver. We don't realize how much they go through, and after a while, you don't know how long this is going to go on. Yeah. So they've adjusted their life, and they come in and they do what they can do, and then after a while, they're just spent. So yes, you have to take care of yourself. You have to take some time. You have to look for that support system. You need that.
That's very important.
Get a break, however it is. I know they have different support systems. Sometimes they have respite systems and things like that in place for people to just take a break. And it's okay to take a break. I think sometimes caregivers don't feel like it's okay to take a break, but it's okay to take a break.
And I really love the way you say, because let's talk about the two different cultures. I mean, I know not everyone non-Asian will agree with this. Maybe they're the same, but Asian caregivers tend to be more, they feel more guilt when they enjoying themselves. And then the loved one, caregivers, just couldn't relax themselves. Wow. I remember one story. One wife is that's when I have the counseling the caregiver's family. Husband has Parkinson's, I think, and wife took care of her husband for more than 10 years. She told me, she said, every time I went to YMCA, just do a little bit exercise for myself, I feel so guilty. My husband is home, and then husband sometimes will question her, like, where did you go? What happened to you? You left the house, without me for 3 hours. And she's always like, maybe I shouldn't go. And then I was like, no, you should continue. Yeah, make sure somebody's, home with your husband. Get some other additional support, but you definitely need to go. Yeah. She loves the yoga there. I say, don't skip. Don't feel guilty. And this is a, Chinese wife. And I can expand to some of the African family, because I work very heavily in Queens, particularly with the Jamaica area. I mean, some of the caregivers will tell me the same thing. So it is not a cultural thing. But I think Asians tend to have more, they feel they should enjoy because their loved one is at home.
Oh, wow.
It's important.
Is there anything else you would like to say to the audience, if it's about whatever social services or the Asian community, and either the struggles or maybe things that you've seen that are positive now?
Yeah. I think I want to thank you for giving me this time to honor, everyone is the AAPI's awareness, the Heritage Month. Don't overlook the calendar. I think New York is very rich communities. As far as I know, just go to Chinatown or any belong to the Asian communities. They create a lot of activities. A lot. I mean, May is a busy month for every agencies. So if you want to talk about certain project, like later on for summer or fall, now May is not a good month to reach any agency because they're busy. They really create a lot of, for example, education program, health event, community fairs, tons of activities, including parade. I think they just finished One Japan parade 2 weeks ago in Manhattan. So back to my role is here. I care about all the communities. I can reach out to any pockets, Facebook, faith-based, Spanish, but because myself belong to, Asian. So my heart will try to focus to provide a service to them. Why? Because they have a barriers much heavier than other people. In New York, actually, it's very lucky. We create almost languages in English and Spanish, but not other additional Asian. Okay, so my role is really here to help anyone, but particularly with the Asian community. Myself, I have to, mention about a few things I'm, got involved now. Myself is a founder and a chair of the Asian Health Collaborative, founder Greater Philadelphia. But my mission for the future is I want to create every city to have this group. This group is original carry-on from American Cancer Society, because that was a really good project. They say we can't just provide a service. We need to get to know the leaders from the area who represent Asian community. So that was my first really tough job. I didn't know anything, but I create about 5 members 25 years ago to now. I have like almost 30. During the pandemic, I actually lost a lot of people, but now it's going back a little bit, 25. We meet every month. We couldn't really do a lot because we don't have a budget. We don't have a company as a backbone. But for them to come, all the leaders, and not necessarily they're Asian. I have a lot of non-Asians because they want to open the doors to the Asian communities. So that's a very good to see community leaders sitting down, and then we use a Zoom, talk about the major issues among the community. It could be mental health, diabetics, or cancer, or dementia, any topic related to Asian. So then after that, I also involved with the CAPA. I'm the chair member of the CAPA is in New York. CAPA is Coalition of Asian Pacific Americans. This group is well known in New York. Before the pandemic, they used to close down the 10 blocks in Chinatown in Manhattan with a huge event, including health fair, tables, entertainments, food, and, dance, to particularly in May. They want to honor this important month. But after pandemic, they changed a little bit. They changed to a certain platform, but they're not going away. They still connect with a lot of communities. And part of the members really just be there to help. And then the third group is the City View Clubhouse. This is really original from, I think they got a funding from Goodwill. This is a non-Asian, but I do see a few Asian members there. It's really try to give a space for anybody who has a mental challengings, their life. They can come, they can have a breakfast, they can have a lunch. They provided a lot of education or entertainment, singing, dancing. This is an area like a lot of people don't know, but we need to recognize those small pockets of the different service because they're there. And then certain people need help, they will go there. Those are the City View Clubhouse give me a platform to do the education program almost 4 years. They give me 1 hour. I go there almost every month to talk about dementia, to talk about 10 warning signs. And then I receive quite a lot of people came to me and say, hey, I wish I can hear your message earlier because my mom passed away from, Alzheimer's. And this gentleman cried in front of me. He wasn't Asian, but I feel very touched because the way he tried to tell me, if I can hear the education early, I probably wouldn't look at my mom as you're crazy. That's the stereotype for people. And I think that's important. And he regretted because he want to have more time to really pay more attention from other side, which is all the education. And Francie, 10 warning signs. It's not because they just purposely want to hurt you or, get you angry. They couldn't help it. It's a very important disease people don't recognize because if you cut yourself, you're bleeding, people will say, oh, come on, let's try to get some bandage, go to the hospital. The mental health is bleeding inside your brain. Nobody can see.
Right.
And that's why a lot of people couldn't really, show they care. And this is the barriers here. And I still want to talk more about how to provide the support to caregivers. Maybe later on we can talk about this for one topic because there's a lot of barriers there. Most important is, family members, they don't share that live in the moment, pay attention to each other, even just 5 minutes, you know. This is very important. You drop off your loved one to the doctor, say, bye, I will come back to pick you up another hour. You don't recognize, this person going to the doctor with a dementia is already unable to tell you whatever, doctor told them. Or this is important. You need to be with your loved one. Very soon after the second stage, final stage, they don't need your help anymore. They need other kind of help, but try to enjoy the earlier stage because you can still go this long weekend, you can still plan the trip to go someplace. They can enjoy to see the ocean view. By the third, even you invited or brought your family there to the ocean view, they probably don't see it anymore. And that's important for caregivers to know that.
Yeah, there's
very important. So my last one, I'm going to make it very quick. So I'm joining the Tzuji's Buddhism Foundation. It's actually charities group. So they focus on 4 things: charities and medical, support, and education, and then culturally, support. Those are the 4 missions I think is very important to any agency, not just, because we're Asian community, we need service, but they have a food pantry, as I mentioned, is just distribute the food to the community. And as a caregivers, Francie, sometimes we go to any food pantries. Again, back to the food, you will get all kinds of food, but Chinese or Asian, they don't know how to cook cheese. They don't know how to cook the beans, So this place, they give them the Chinese vegetables. They give them certain grocery Chinese people related to. So it's great to see the communities helping each other, and I hope most of us can utilize that. By utilize this, we need a lot of help: volunteers, social workers. We have to learn. We have to study. You not just know ABC agencies out there is providing the service for free screening. You need to get to know people. If somebody get on your podcast, then they will know, okay, so-and-so talk about this agency provide a service. The last one I'm going to talk is the Tzuji is another project for me, is they want to open more doors to do the vision and dental screening. They got a very special funding to do this for free to the community, particularly focus on children, because I really understand if you don't see well, you don't learn well. And then the dental is focused on kids and then seniors too. So they do have events that, got 2 events, 3 events going to the community to do this a great service. Right now they're focused, I'm focused more like a schools. Eventually we can go to like a shelters or, senior centers. And I feel like very honored to help them to use my skill, which is I'm retired already. I don't want to go back to the field, but because of these connections, I feel very honored. I can still use my skills to help them, particularly to my own, community. And thank you again to honor this month. AAPI Awareness Heritage Month is not just a name. It should be somebody, there to get to know more about your, culture you're not familiar with. Right. Thank you, Francis.
Oh, well, this is awesome. Thank you. I've learned a lot just by listening to you. So I thank you for sharing all your information, especially all the different groups and volunteers, and you putting things in people's mind and consciousness to be aware of this month, but also be aware of maybe volunteering, giving some time to some agencies that may need it, a few hours or whatever. So that's very good. So I thank you so much for just coming on and giving us your information, your knowledge, and of course your experience is across the board, so many different agencies and different things like that. So thank you so much for sharing with us this evening.
Thank you, Francine. I will send the link just as needed for all the agencies I talk about. You can share or you don't, but before we end, I just want to mention one more thing, like never feel scared to go into any communities. If you can build a trust, they can trust you. You can really help them, not only your own mission. I know we all working for agency. We have a certain mission we need to do, but at the same time, you really can help the communities. As an immigrant, I didn't know after 30 years, I will have this in this position to help so many people. So don't be afraid. You can speak English in the beginning. Eventually, you need to push yourself and then learn more. I never know I can really do the job, which is not nutrition or nursing. Now move to the social workers, social service more. That's another thing you never know in the future. So just try to look at the moment, do whatever you need best, and then move on. As a caregivers, I also want to say before we end, try to live in the moment. Pay attention, just sitting down, holding hands for 5 minutes. That's the most important part. Don't just busy with a lot of things and I did everything. I'm burned out. That's not working. Okay. Just before you burn out, sit down, truly look at your loved one, hold the hands, or look at the ocean view or watch TV, anything. Just live in a moment for 5 minutes, pause, and then move on to whatever you need to take care of. That's important.
That's great advice. That's great advice. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to be on Autumn is Here.
Thank you, Francine.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.